Since I got my amateur radio license about 2 years ago, I've been running my base station using this homebrewed dual band dipole made out of some steel rod and PVC. And it's worked really well. I've been able to hit repeaters up to 20 miles away, and it's helped immerse me into the hobby and get my feet wet. But it's time for an upgrade. For my upgrade, I chose the Comet CX-333 tri-band antenna that I picked up from DX Engineering. It's tuned for 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and 220 or the 1.25 meter bands, which is perfect for my current dual band base station setup, plus a little bit of future proofing so I can get into 220 sometime down the road. Compared to my little dipole, this thing's a monster. It's over 10 feet long, but being made largely of heavy duty UV stabilized fiberglass, it's super light at only 3.5 pounds. The install and setup that you're about to see is based off of what I've learned to date and what I currently believe to be the right practices. But if you see something I should be doing differently or could have done better, please leave a comment below for both myself and others. Back to the antenna. The kit comes with everything you need minus coax to get set up and running. Assembly was straightforward and easy with one-page instructions that were actually really easy to follow. The first step is to attach the upper and lower elements together. At first, I thought this was going to be a pain in the ass. The upper element was so far up in the radome that I wasn't sure how I was going to get it down to connect it. In the comments section of the DX Engineering site, it seems that another buyer had a similar issue, but was able to pull it down using, quote, small parts grabbing tool. Well, I have needle nose pliers, but those didn't work. Then I stopped being stupid and remembered the basic physical concept of inertia. Tapping the assembly on the floor a few times was enough to get the upper element down and in reach, and from there it was a piece of cake. The upper and lower elements connect with a pair of set screws. I loosely threaded the set screws in place to make it easier to tighten down once the two pieces were together. With the two elements secured together, combine the upper and lower radomes and secure them together by tightening the collar over the provided rubber washer. Next, pre-assemble the radials by threading the provided nuts onto each end of the radials as far as it will go. Thread the 3 radials into the base of the antenna as far as they will go, and then secure them in place with the lock nuts you put on earlier. At this point, your antenna is pretty much complete. Pro tip, assemble this thing outside, or at least in a room where you can swing around a 10-foot antenna with awkward radii, right, sticking out of the back end. I was barely able to negotiate this thing out the side door. The antenna mounts to its own support pipe and bracket that was provided with it. I mounted the support assembly to a makeshift antenna mast made from some line post for fencing. The antenna and coax just drop through the support, and the whole thing is held in place with a single 10mm bolt. Since I'm upgrading my setup, I ran a fresh roll of LMR 400 for my install. The instructions recommend wrapping the coax into 1 to 2 loops near the antenna, so I did that before running it down the mast, and then into my garage after forming a drip loop. For grounding, I used a length of 10 gauge stranded THHN wire, which I ran from the mount down along the side of the garage to an 8-foot copper ground rod pounded into the dirt that I used to ground other equipment. Now before plugging the antenna into my radio, let's do a couple quick SWR sweeps to see how well this antenna performs. I found it interesting that I didn't really see any way to tune it, so I'm really curious to see how it performs out of the box.
Alright, let's check out a SWR chart. I'm going to set our frequency range, and we're going to hold down function, select 2 meter. Oh, not too bad. Got 1.05 is the minimum at 14576. And since most of the repeaters I hit are going to be 145 to 146, that's perfect. We'll do SWR, we'll do frequency range, hold down function, go to 70 centimeters. We'll do 435 plus or minus, let's just get a wide view this time, 15 megahertz, and let's sweep. All right, lowest SWR is at 1.01 at 446.7, so a little bit more towards the upper end of the band, but underneath 2, pretty much acceptable down through 426. All right, I wonder what this thing looks like in the GMRS band, in the 462, 465 range. All right, not acceptable for a GMRS antenna. All right, finally, let's check the 1 1/4 meter or 220 band. See where we stand. Interesting. I'm not as familiar with the 220 band. I haven't used it yet. I don't have a radio for it, I think, other than maybe a Baofeng HT. But it looks like the lowest SWR is 1.13 at 224.05. Perfectly acceptable performance throughout.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty dang good for an out-of-the-box setup. Let's get it plugged into the radio and see how well it works in a real-world application.
KD9JYT, November 9 Juliet Delta India, and 9 JDI.
JDI, KD9JYT, how you doing?
Kind of was hoping to get a quick signal report. It's a brand new CX-333 from Comet, and a new spool of LMR 400. I'm hoping it's much better than what I used to have, and 9 JDI.
Sounds great. A little bit of noise, just barely, but you're almost like full quieting. Very clear. I'm up here in Northbrook, Illinois, and you're sounding pretty good out here.
Well, I'm definitely happy with this new setup. Aside from being better quality than my little rinky-dink dipole, it's higher up now, so maybe I'll even be able to hit a couple repeaters and make some contacts that I haven't been able to reach before. So again, this setup is based off of what I believe to be correct, but if you believe otherwise or have some additional tips, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear it, and maybe we can adjust as we go. Until then, I'm Tom the Dilettante. Thank you as always for watching, and have a good one. 73.